An inner voice exists, distinct from your own. It murmurs limitations, paralyzes you when facing transformation, and projects dire outcomes before any action is taken, which is fear. However, the reality is that fear is not what you perceive it to be. It's not a creature in pursuit, but rather an illusion that expands when you remain inactive. This discussion aims to eradicate that shadow, not through force or wishful thinking, but with a more potent tool, Stoic fire. When you comprehend how Stoicism systematically breaks down fear from within, you will cease to surrender to its influence. Firstly, apprehension is a subjective response, not an objective condition. Marcus Aurelius noted, "Today I escaped from anxiety, or no, I discarded it because it was within me, in my own perceptions, not outside." Apprehension isn't a result of your circumstances. Rather, it stems from your convictions regarding those circumstances. This understanding is precisely how a Stoic shatters the false perception. A Stoic does not attempt to manage external elements like the climate, results, or other individuals. Instead, they govern themselves, the very perspective that shapes their reality. Your apprehension of being turned away is a narrative you've formed, and your trepidation about not succeeding is a forecast you've made. The dread of discomfort is merely a subjective reading, not an objective fact. Ultimately, fear represents the internal response to an external event that has been misconstrued. Once you achieve mastery over your viewpoint, trepidation starts to dissipate, as it loses any firm foundation within you to take hold. This principle is fundamental to Stoicism. External factors cannot injure you unless you permit them to penetrate your inner self. Secondly, embrace unease. If your goal is to eliminate fear, cease evading the things that frighten you. Seneca observed that our suffering is greater in our minds than in actuality, and the more you sidestep hardship, the more intimidating it appears. The Stoics understood a truth that has eluded us. Discomfort in itself is not the adversary. Indeed, it is your response to discomfort, your dread of experiencing unease, that truly empowers fear. However, the instant you confront unease, a transformation occurs, as you sense yourself becoming more acute and unearthing resilience where you previously perceived only weakness. Experiences like icy immersions, difficult dialogues, pre-dawn awakenings, quietude, and being turned away are not penalties. They are the crucible, teaching you to remain steady amidst global instability and to persevere when others capitulate. Each time you lean into discomfort, fear loses its grip. You are effectively communicating to it, "My purpose here is not comfort, but fortitude." Thirdly, ready yourself for the most unfavorable outcome, and subsequently come to terms with it. The Stoics employed a method known as premeditatio malorum, or the anticipation of adversities. Instead of disregarding apprehension, they analyzed it, coexisted with it, and navigated its shadowy passages guided by rationality. They queried, what is the most dire possibility, and then visualized it repeatedly until it grew commonplace, for the familiar ceases to feel menacing. This practice is not intended to induce insensitivity, but to foster readiness. It is about cultivating the internal fortitude to affirm, should the worst materialize, I will remain myself, and I will overcome. This approach is not rooted in negativity. It is a form of mental inoculation. By foreseeing the tempest and resolving to withstand it prior to its onset, you prevent it from taking you by surprise, and elements that fail to startle you also fail to frighten you. Fourthly, focus on substituting apprehension with a sense of obligation. This shift in focus can be profoundly impactful. Apprehension flourishes when a clear objective is lacking. It takes residence in minds without engagement and in spirits without mooring. The more ambiguous your understanding of your core values, the more amplified your trepidation will be. However, possessing a responsibility, a clear purpose, causes fear to diminish. Marcus Aurelius did not ponder potential failure. Instead, he inquired, "What is my obligation for today?" His existence was not dedicated to acclaim or ease, but to moral excellence, to contribution, and to the principle of prioritizing deeds over feelings. If you wish to vanquish apprehension, cease your attempts to conjure courage and begin engaging in activities of true significance. Transitioning your attention from internal concerns to the work at hand disrupts the pattern of apprehension. This occurs because the emphasis is no longer on your emotional state, but on your conduct. Furthermore, when your behaviors are congruent with your core beliefs, trepidation loses its significance. Indeed, Leading a life of moral uprightness is of paramount importance because it provides a steadfast anchor. Fifthly, one must eradicate apprehension through immediate deeds. This is effective because trepidation invariably resides in prospective concerns. It cannot survive when confronted with direct, current engagement. It nourishes itself with hypothetical scenarios and proliferates within the mists of conjecture. However, a Stoic repeatedly redirects their thoughts to the sole domain where fear cannot exist, the immediate now, this very inhalation, this instant, this single action. Apprehension is unsustainable in the current instant, for the present is excessively tangible and firmly established. It does not engage with illusions, it simply exists. This is the rationale behind Stoic action. They proceed without delaying for a sense of preparedness or for apprehension to vanish. They initiate movement, allowing the activity itself to dissipate fear, as fear despises forward impetus. Moreover, taking action serves as a proclamation. I exist, I am present, and I elect to proceed regardless. Sixthly, command the story to command the apprehension. Your consciousness is a contested arena where fear acts as a raconteur, a deceiver, weaving narratives of calamity and misfortune using your internal monologue. Yet, a Stoic refuses to allow fear to dictate their life's account. They reclaim authorship and revise the narrative. They consistently inquire, how else can I perceive this situation? And what significance do I choose to assign to it? When you sense a tremor in your core, you can state, this is my physical system readying itself for engagement. Similarly, upon encountering ambiguity, you affirm, this is the birthplace of resilience. Such reframing is not a form of self-deception, but an exercise in self-governance. It involves employing your logical faculties to direct your feelings, transforming apprehension from an autocrat into an aide, because mastery of the narrative equates to mastery of the fear. Seventhly, the objective is not to be devoid of fear, but to be indomitable. The aim is not the complete absence of trepidation. As a human, you are bound to experience it. Rather, the purpose is to prevent it from characterizing you, or diminishing your deeds, your capabilities, or your identity. Apprehension might arrive without an invitation, yet bravery responds to its presence. Valor does not imply an absence of sensation. It signifies persisting in your course regardless of your emotions, acknowledging fear, and then proceeding beyond it. This involves recognizing that fortitude does not invariably manifest as quietude or stoicism. True strength can take many forms. At times, it appears as unsteady hands that continue to compose, or wavering limbs that persist in advancing. There is no requirement to possess extraordinary abilities. You simply need to maintain composure and resist fracturing under pressure. This very resilience and inner steadfastness is precisely what Stoicism cultivates. Do you desire to obliterate fear? If so, refrain from direct confrontation. Instead, transcend it. Elevate yourself beyond its reach by achieving mental command, anchoring yourself in logic, adhering to your values, and acting decisively, even amidst turmoil. Permit apprehension to be clamorous, allowing it to vociferate, contort, and lament. Subsequently, you proceed, articulate, and exist as though apprehension holds no dominion, for in truth, it never did. This is because fear achieves victory solely when you accept its narrative. However, the Stoic revises that conclusion, employing composure, lucidity, and fortitude. When you achieve this state, navigating with serenity while those around you succumb to alarm, apprehension ceases to exist. In such moments of composed action, fear truly perishes.